Hey guys, this is Azrael doing a commentary video for Empire Total War Online. In this battle I command the Austrians, and I am fighting with my ally, who's playing as Prussia, against two French armies. As we start this battle off, I just want to note that we are playing on the map Bavaria. I don't have the flags turned on top of the units. That's to make it a little more realistic. They do carry these little regiment flags though, which is kind of cool. As we start the battle off, I am packing with me, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of these Grenzers here. They are light infantry with a range of 90, which comes in handy as I have my Windbush Jaegers out in front here. They have a range of 125, and they have completely silent air rifles, which makes them hard to detect on the battlefield. And they're also hidden to my opponent right now, which makes for a really good surprise attack. I also have 5 units of these line infantry and 5 units of light dragoons. My ally, he is packing with him, I believe, 4 units of line infantry, along with 2 units of these life guard. You gotta be honest. These are pretty cool uniforms that they have on. I love the life guard. But the objective for this battle, as we start off, is we want to make sure that we maintain the high elevation against our opponent and prevent them, especially from getting over and maintaining control of this hill. It is a very strategic point on Bavaria, and if you capture that, the only way you're going to get your enemy off is by mass artillery attacks. So as we go through the battle, I just want to point out mistakes that both sides make. Hopefully we can learn from those mistakes. That way, as you play Empire Total War, you won't make the same ones, or you can learn from them. I start off by moving my light dragoons through a giant gap that these two armies left in between each other. Just a word of advice. When you are fighting, you want to make sure that you have absolutely no gaps in your lines. That makes it easy for an experienced enemy to get around your entire formation and then create a distraction, which is going to take you off your battle plan. So right off the bat, you can see that I have the enemies in a compromising position with my 5 units of light dragoons going off into the distance. My enemy recognizes this, so now he is changing his battle plan by moving his Swiss Guard, and I am really not going to try and pronounce that name, Coureurs des Bois. But the Swiss Guard, I just have to take a look at their uniforms because it's dirty. Those are some extremely strong line infantry unit in Empire Total War. I think they're actually the strongest line infantry unit. Anyway, we're going to go over to my ally who's moving his Prussian Jaegers up. He's doing a smart screening plan here. The objective is for me to cover his right flank right here with my army, which I'm trying to do at the moment, as you can see me adjusting. And also, he's moving his line up to prevent my enemy from going anywhere spectacular. So we already have this French army enveloped, which is made up of mostly line infantry and a few rifles. So as you're going to see the battle progress here, it's not going to be too much of an issue. My light dragoons are in back, ready for a rear flank attack, which is going to prove to be very useful. And my light infantry is actually maintaining control of this hill already, which is extremely advantageous. There's absolutely no way that your enemy is going to be able to attack a mass group of light infantry like this and come away unscathed. The purpose of playing as Austria, I just want to run it down really quick, the setup that I have. The line infantry that I have is mainly just support for the light infantry. If you recognize that your line infantry for Austria is kind of terrible, because let's be honest, their stats are absolutely horrendous, then you'll recognize that your light infantry is what's going to win you the battles. The enemy for France, which was my enemy, is now moving up on my allies' Prussian Jaegers from the woods here, and he already recognizes that. One thing that I do want to say, if you are playing Empire Total War with an ally, you want to make sure that you have communication either through voice chat or you're an extremely fast typer. Communication is the key to victory. If you don't have that, then you're not going to win, unless you both are absolutely professional and you have every idea in the book. But So as a distraction to get his Prussian Jaegers in position, he charges his hussars, and I am currently stationary with my line infantry, stationary with my light infantry. I believe at the time, I believe that France was going to be moving up. Prussia, though, is already doing a fine job of moving up on this French army. A unit of Swiss Guard got torn up, as you can see here, by these Prussian Jaegers. They have a range of 125. They are the Prussian rifleman equivalent. Over here, you can see that I am toying with my enemy now and his Buckley's regiment. They're actually very decent. They're one of the starting units for the French campaign if you have the DLC. I am toying with him with my light dragoons. You always want to make sure, as a rule, that you take the enemy out of their battle plan. Sun Tzu always says that all warfare is based on deception, so if you can fake an attack one place and distract the enemy, take him off his plan, then you are already succeeding in his art of war. We're going to take a look at what France is doing over here. There's not too much action on my side just yet. It looks like my ally moved up his life guard to meet his triers, and they are getting torn up right now. But he's in position, and he's going to start taking shots at the enemy, who is going to fall in mass numbers. If I was him at this moment, I actually probably would have tried to get a flanking party right over here in between the out-of-bounds zone and his riflemen. I'm moving up from behind, though, and I'm actually going to start targeting him from the rear flank with my light dragoons. This is a very excellent coordinated plan between me and my ally. Obviously, these stakes are here, and I don't want my light dragoons taking heavy casualties, so I decided to refrain from doing that. Taking a look over here, my light infantry is starting to open up fire on the enemy, and he is taking some seriously heavy casualties, as you can see, just marching up to meet my light infantry, all the people that died. And now his light infantry stands no chance at all against my Grenzers and Windbush Jaeger combo. I have him exactly where I want him now, so I'm going to move my light infantry, my line infantry rather, up to meet him on his extreme right flank. Seems like he's got a good setup here. He has some elite infantry facing off against, well, mediocre line infantry, so he should be able to hold for a bit. I just have to wait for my light infantry to tear up these two regiments of line infantry, which they have, so now I can move up and crush his left flank as soon as I figure out what's going on. My line infantry is also tearing him up. My light infantry is going to continue tearing him up. And he recognizes all the casualties he's taking over on his left flank, so he has to detach another unit unsuccessfully to meet my Grenzers and my Windbush Jaegers, but my word of advice to him would have been to just stay put, because, in all honesty, he's losing the battle right now, and that it's not going to be too successful. This unit of line infantry is being targeted by all of his guys, so it's taking pretty decent casualties. It's just a line battle right now. It looks like he's going to charge in melee. They're going to get cut down just before they get there, though, which was terrible timing on his part. My light infantry, like I said, it's going to crush his flank. He's going to be crippled now. He really is going to be crippled. I did take a few casualties up here on the hill, but like I said, they're dispensable with how much light infantry I actually have. So we're paying attention to the battle here. And as you can see, it looks like France, way up on the hill, is for the most part getting annihilated. As you can see, all the French casualties from my ally and his line infantry moving up across the dead bodies. My light dragoons did a really good job of distracting the enemy, and they're going to continue to do their job as they move up on France and as I move to envelop France. Right here, as you can see, I have something that I call the umbrella pattern, because when you set it up correctly, it kind of looks like an umbrella. I am taking heavy line casualties, though. I took about 200 of those. My enemy, for some reason, has solid shot on for his howitzers, which does absolutely nothing against infantry. Maybe one or two casualties here or there. But I'm going to pull my Grenzers and my Windbush Jaegers back as my line continues to battle with the enemies. It's not going to end up good for him, though, because as you can see, I have a superior line force. Just a quick couple tips for you guys as the battle's coming to a close here. You want to make sure that you bring, army composition-wise, I'm trying to give you some sound tactics that have been tested by myself and many of my friends on Empire Total War. You don't want to bring too much artillery, because that means that you don't have enough infantry to defend that artillery. You want to make sure that you bring an adequate amount of cavalry for support, running down enemy troops, and also distraction-wise. And Sun Tzu always said too much of the same is not enough. So if you bring too much of the same kind of soldier, artillery or cavalry, it's going to hinder your ability to fight in Empire Total War. So you want to make sure that you have a balanced army. Many times I've actually found myself bringing an unbalanced army, which was completely fallacious. But my line infantry, like I've said, with Austria, you can't really rely on them to completely win the battle for you. But they get the job done for support. It's really the light infantry that carried the day for me. I mean, even just fighting France's line infantry over here, they're taking some extremely heavy casualties. So I already explained light dragoons. You can use them for distraction. You can use them for support. You can do anything you want with the light dragoons. They're not good in melee, though. You want to make sure that you don't completely focus them in melee against, let's say, a unit of line infantry, because they'll lose. Really, what it is common sense. You don't leave large gaps in your formation, like I said before. Another time, it's really good to have reserves when you're fighting, because if the battle's not going quite the way you envisioned it, you can turn the tide with reinforcements. Besides a few casualties on the line infantry part, the enemy got destroyed. All of his elite infantry, cavalry gone. I still have all my cavalry left. One unit of line infantry ran. And another one is getting wrecked right now. But you need to pay attention to what's going on. You need to have a field of view of the entire battle, and if you can do that, then you're going to be a successful commander. As you can see, my ally destroyed France. He did also take some heavy casualties marching up this stupid hill that I told you guys to keep an eye out for. You don't want to ever march up this hill. You want to fight them on level terrain or fight downhill. But pretty much for the battle, that's going to be all she wrote. My unit of line infantry actually is running. They don't do too good in melee. He has a couple units left, though. I'm going to charge his cannons with my line infantry here. And that's going to be all she wrote right there. And at this point, I think it's really important to take from this army composition. Depending on the faction you use, you want to make sure you understand all the traits and abilities of the faction that you're using. You want to understand the negatives and the positives of using that army. Like Austria, their light infantry is the best in the game, so you can be guaranteed that when you use them, you want to have good balance of light infantry. You want to make sure you have support for that light infantry, since they're not good in melee by themselves. But normally, using a normal faction, my armies will consist of 4 things. That's about 2 howitzers max, because howitzers are meant for killing soldiers. You want, unlike what my enemy did here, he used solid shot the whole time, use percussive shell or use quicklime shell. That will help you to win the battle. I usually bring about 4 riflemen. Austria obviously doesn't have riflemen to be using. You're only allowed a max of 2 Windbush Jaegers. And I usually bring about 5 to 6 infantry units, line infantry, 6 max, absolutely 6 max, and a 4 cavalry minimum. That's usually what I have. Other than that, from this battle, we can't really take too much more than watch your gaps, watch your flanks. If you're losing a certain segment of a skirmish, then you can make sure that you close your gaps, pull back, and then just form up again. There's no problem with retreating for a little bit and then reforming your battle line. I mean, you don't want to sacrifice your men for the sake of just holding a spot. If you have to, you pull your men back. I'm rushing my cavalry here. It looks like the enemy might have a couple units camped out on this hill. Yes, he did. That's exactly what I was talking about, reforming your battle line. He was losing, so he pulled back to a more defensible position. I mean, I don't blame him at all, but we're advancing now on him at the top of this hill. My ally still has a couple units of line infantry left, so that's not too bad. 1 unit of Prussian Jaegers I think I saw somewhere. No, all of his Jaegers are gone. Other than that, I'm just bringing my light dragoons up for some support. Oh, no, he does have his Prussian Jaegers right over here. They're firing from the trees. Oh, that's another tip I can point out to you for the beginners of Empire Total War or any of the Total War games. If you have units with long range, you want to hide them in trees or you want to hide them in bushes because they actually provide cover. Very in-depth game. So cover provides, obviously, defense bonus. So you want to make sure that if you have long-range units, you're putting them in there so they can take shots at the enemy without fear of being decimated by a couple volleys of musket fire. So we already talked a little bit about cavalry tactics. A couple more of my videos, I'll discuss that more in depth when I actually have the examples to show it. The main thing that I can tell you guys, though, is when you set up line infantry, you don't want to have them too bunched together because they actually fire by rank. So if you have a unit that's 7 ranks deep, you're only going to get 3 lines of fire out of them. You're reducing the number of muskets that can be firing. So a lot of it's common sense, really. I already told you guys that. Communicating with your ally, try to get your cavalry on the back of an opponent. If he allows it, you can always try to get your cavalry around an opponent because that's just going to prove that that's a distraction. No one likes having cavalry around their rear flank. So as you can see here, my enemy is set up right behind a hill, which isn't smart at all because he's setting up behind a hill and he's going to be firing into that hill, except for his riflemen who are directly on top. That was a good setup on his part. Really, I can't expound too much more, except for you just want to watch your flanks. These two did not watch their flanks, and me and my ally, who fight together quite often, or used to fight together quite often, we would always try to hit the enemy's flanks and envelop them, separate, and kill. That's really what it became. And when you cut the enemy off from each other, then you're going to win. Another big thing before we finish up here, you should always take advantage of the ground that the enemy gives you. If there is gaps already in their formation, which you saw at the beginning of the battle with my light dragoons, take advantage of it. Take that gap. They'll have to reform and then fight you just for that gap. So any gaps in their formations, any ground they give you, they pull back, take that ground. In a line battle, your objective is to detach units like I did here. Even though it's cavalry, you want to detach units and hit their flank. Detach and hit their flank. As soon as the first unit routes, it just gets easier and easier and easier. See, there goes another one and another one. We've won the battle. It's a lot of common sense and just having a general view of the entire battlefield as a whole. So at the end of the battle, I killed 1,298, lost 730. My ally killed 928 and lost 567. Not too bad on the part of our enemies, just a few things here and there. I made some mistakes as well. I hope you guys learned a little bit from this, and you tune into my next video, and hopefully we can learn a little bit more. Thank you guys.